Some people enter your life without ever raising their voice, without threatening you, and even insisting that they only want what's best for you. Yet the longer you stay around them, the more you begin to lose confidence in yourself. You start doubting your own memory, apologizing for things that were never your fault, and carrying a constant feeling that you must be the problem. The most frightening thing about psychological manipulation isn't that it hurts you immediately. It's that, little by little, it makes you forget who you used to be. One of the biggest misconceptions is that only weak or insecure people become victims of manipulation. In reality, the kinder you are, the more willing you are to listen, the more likely you are to become a target. When your instinct is always to keep the peace, you get used to taking one step back. Then one day you realize you've stepped so far back that you can no longer see where your own boundaries begin. Many studies suggest that human beings naturally prioritize maintaining connection over risking rejection. That's why the brain can sometimes function like an overly sensitive alarm system. The moment it senses that someone is upset with you, it urges you to fix the situation, even when you've done nothing wrong. The first sign is that you constantly question your own perception. There are moments when you clearly remember a conversation, yet the other person insists you're imagining things. They tell you you're too sensitive, overthinking, or remembering it incorrectly. At first you defend yourself. Eventually you begin wondering if they're right. It's like standing in front of a warped mirror. Every day it reflects a different version of you, until you no longer know what you truly look like. The second sign is that you feel responsible for everyone else's emotions. If they're sad, you believe it's your job to make them feel better. If they're angry, you immediately search for something you must have done wrong. If they become distant, you spend the entire day replaying every interaction, trying to figure out what upset them. You become the weather forecaster for someone else's emotional climate, while the sky inside your own heart has been filled with storm clouds for a very long time. Some psychologists believe this pattern may begin in childhood. If you grew up carefully reading the moods of the adults around you to avoid criticism, conflict, or abandonment, your mind may have learned that safety depends on pleasing other people. Childhood becomes the operating system, quietly running beneath every decision you make. You believe you're making choices, when in reality, you may simply be repeating an old program. Then there's another subtle sign. You apologize far too often. You apologize for asking a question. You apologize for taking up someone's time. You apologize for needing comfort. Sometimes you even apologize for feeling hurt. Gradually, your existence begins to resemble that of a guest who's afraid of taking up too much space. You make yourself smaller so others can feel comfortable, leaving no room for yourself. Another sign of emotional manipulation is that every disagreement somehow ends with you accepting the blame. No matter how the conversation starts, it always finishes the same way. The other person skillfully shifts the focus, brings up old mistakes, or convinces you that you're overreacting. Before long, the real issue disappears, replaced only by guilt. It's like entering a maze looking for the exit, only to discover that every path leads you back to the same place. Some people don't control you with demands or threats. They control you with silence. They withdraw affection precisely when you need it most. They become distant just enough to make you anxious, then offer a small gesture of warmth that fills you with relief. Our brains respond powerfully to unpredictable rewards. That cycle of closeness and distance is exactly what makes toxic relationships so difficult to leave. It's like someone who repeatedly pulls you up, only to let you fall again, leaving you convinced that if you just try a little harder, everything will finally get better. Perhaps the most heartbreaking sign is that you've stopped trusting your own intuition. There was a time when you knew what made you happy and what caused you pain. But after being repeatedly told that your feelings were wrong, you slowly silenced your inner voice. The mind is like a radar system. When it's flooded with constant interference, it eventually loses the ability to distinguish between genuine danger and meaningless noise. If you recognize yourself in these words, please don't blame yourself. People are not manipulated because they're foolish. They're manipulated because they've spent so much of their lives loving others wholeheartedly, without ever learning how to offer that same compassion to themselves. There's a thought worth holding on to. You may have spent years learning to read everyone else's emotions so accurately that you forgot your own eyes have been waiting for someone to truly see the pain behind them. Healing doesn't begin by cutting everyone out of your life. It begins the moment you stop denying your own emotions. When you feel sadness, allow yourself to admit you're sad. When something feels wrong, give yourself permission to trust that feeling. Emotions are not your enemy. They're like smoke drifting through a room, quietly telling you that somewhere inside, something deserves your attention. Learn to build small but meaningful boundaries, not to push people away, but to prevent yourself from disappearing. You are not responsible for fixing everyone else's wounds, and you don't have to sacrifice your own peace just to earn someone else's approval. There will be days when saying no still fills you with guilt. That's completely normal. Your nervous system needs time to learn that protecting yourself is not selfish. Every time you choose to listen to your own needs, you're rewriting another line in a story that life once forced you to believe. You may not feel strong today, but the moment you begin recognizing what's really happening, you've already taken your first steps out of that invisible cage. And the beautiful truth is this: the key has always been in your hands. You simply were never told that you had it. The day you no longer feel the need to apologize for being yourself will be the day you discover what freedom truly feels like. So, let me ask you this. Which of these 7 signs felt as though it was describing your own life? If you're comfortable sharing, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might help someone else realize that they too deserve love, respect, and emotional safety. If this video gave you a new perspective, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for the next video, where we'll continue learning how to understand ourselves before trying to understand the rest of the world.